So, Mike, I'm coming in at 10, bro.
You got it.
Hey, what's going on, family? You're tuned in to Real Laughs on Real Radio 104.1. We're your nightcap of comedy. We thank you so much for tuning in this week. We've had all brand new shows this week. It's been so much fun, man. And I'm excited tonight. I'm starting off in the big chair. Now we'll be passing it off the mic here soon because we do have a special guest on virtual studio with us. But I got to introduce my co-host. I got Miguel Colon Jr. and Mike Hurley here in the building with me. What's up, brothers?
What's
Oh
up,
man,
Ken?
having to
Where
get.
was you at, Miguel?
I was at a Oasis. You remember Oasis used to be Otters,
Oh, yeah,
used to
yeah.
be
In Sanford.
yeah. So I was over there hosting a pool party with Mike Busey, and it's funny because they were talking to me and they're like, "Yeah, we're doing some changes around here." And I was like, "What kind of change are you doing?" Like, "Well, we're thinking about changing the name. This place has been five
Five
different
different things.
names, man."
Well,
Wow.
man, I'm happy to have you back. But we do have a special guest with us tonight. He will be at the Orlando Improv this weekend, May 20th and 21st. 2 shows, Fridays, 2 shows, Saturday. The OG, Mr. TK Kirkland, is in the building. TK, what's up, brother?
Salute,
What's up,
salute.
man?
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, it's
man,
good.
thanks for sitting in with us, man. We appreciate
Yeah,
it.
it's good to be doing interviews, especially for Orlando. Like I really love that city, and even though I sell out and haven't done interviews in years, most comics, for some reason, when they get to a certain level, they don't want to do interviews anymore. Like I live for it. Like
Yeah.
it's just. I think it just goes with the territory.
Yeah.
You
And I've
you
seen your
know
Breakfast
TK.
Club interviews, so I love them.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Here's the thing too. Like as comedians, we know how good you are. We've watched your clips. We've come up watching your stuff and being like,
Yes.
man, I wish I wrote that or that's amazing. But here's how you kind of know how good a comic you are. I go to the improv, like if I'm in town, I'll swing by, just say, hey, it's my home club. And when the bar staff is excited because they see a comedian's name coming up, because they know when he comes or she comes, the place is going to be packed. But more importantly, the audience is just awesome. They buy
Yes.
drinks, they have a good time. And you're one of the comedians over there that has that reputation where servers are taking shifts on your weekend because they know the type of energy and audience and clientele you bring. So
That's
kudos to
awesome.
you, man.
Yeah, I'm excited. A lot of hard work and just a lot of crazy experiences I've gone through in my lifetime.
Yeah, which is crazy because we've interviewed a lot of comics. We always start the interview off the same way with the origin story. So let us know how long you been doing comedy, where did you start, and how was your first show?
In this business, my nickname in this business is called Mr. Consistent
Okay.
because I've been doing this 37 years,
Woo!
and even though there's never been rock star status, but there's never been low status either. I've got successful, just clear, straight across the board for 37 years, and to still be doing this at this level, and staying in shape because I'm in my 60s, so that makes a big difference, right? So
Oh,
to be working like this and selling out all around the world, like I didn't even know I was that big in Liverpool. I didn't know I was that big in Paris. I didn't know I was that big in
International. That's
Nottingham,
crazy.
Huntington. Birmingham. Like it was insane. Like I felt
Wow.
like I was Jay-Z, 50 Cent, all combined over there. And my daughter, to see her face light up over
Now,
there was just amazing.
do you like sometimes when I go on the road, if it's a state I haven't played yet, until I get that first joke out of me, I'm like, are they going to get me here? Is it like that for you when you go to a different country never been to? Like when you get on stage, are you nervous at all the first time going through, or you just
I,
wonder
I
if
I
there's
have
going to
a
be some?
I have a don't care attitude. I don't care if you like it or not, right? Because when I'm on stage, it's really my world.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I'm sharing what my world is in my head. Now it may be crazy, right? But then when I come off stage, I understand the things I said on that stage will not really apply to the real world because everybody is raised differently. Everybody has their own flight pattern, and we come in different cities, different states. So everybody has a different way of thinking. But when
Right.
people come see my show, I bring you into my world and how I think and how I want things done. And what's crazy when you do travel the world, and this is what I was just telling somebody the other day, um, everybody does the same thing all over the world.
Yeah.
It's just that the faces are different. So my stand-up, it crossed over very well, and I was truly impressed with that.
Nice.
Nice.
That reminds me of, we got a buddy named Tom Rhodes that started out in Central Florida, moved out to LA. He's been doing the comedy game for years. And like you, he does the international thing. And I asked him once, I'm like, man, how do you do it? He's like, Mike, wherever you go in the world, people go through the same stuff, whether you want to admit it or not. Like, you ain't going to make it around the world doing Morgan and Morgan jokes because nobody around the
Right.
world cares about Morgan and Morgan.
Right.
He's like, but he's like, you can go to Mongolia and there's a guy there that hates his brother. So talk
Right.
about that, man.
Yeah,
Talk
That's
about
so
that.
true. That's so
Yeah.
true. Relationships, everything falls into the same category. But you got to have the delivery. You got to have the determination. So with me, I try to go on stage to make sure I look good, to make sure the women want to date me, right?
That's why we got into this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then my other thing is to make sure I look good, so the men who are looking are nervous that their girl is.
Well,
and
bro,
should
look
be
at you.
like,
You 60 years old. You look
Right.
30.
42.
Right. And that's the thing that I like doing. Then I just talk my mess and set it straight.
Man,
TK,
I
let me
was
ask you a
reading your
question.
bio. Let me real quick.
Yeah.
You get to that. I was reading your bio. We've had a lot of comics on, bro. You went on the road with NWA.
Yeah, well, that's a great situation because I did an opening act in Los Angeles, California, with Bobby Brown, Tina Marie, Albie Shore, Keith Sweat, and during intermission, a DJ played this local rap group's music at the time. I'm standing next to Bobby Brown. I saw 30,000 people lose their mind, and I've been my own manager. I've always made my own way. So when Bobby Brown told me there that those was the guys right there, I walked up to the gentleman and I said, "Hey, my name is T to the MFK," and he said, "My name is Easy E." And Easy E saw me that night. Then Dr. Dre, Ice Cube came to see me perform at the Comedy Store a week later, and they took me on my first national tour straight out of Compton, and the rest is history.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
But I've done that with a lot of major names. I did it with Jay-Z. He took me on the Hard Knock Life tour in '96 because he did my birthday party, and I was bigger than Jay-Z at one time. So I'm in Harlem with my crew, mink coats, gators, style, and my crew hired these rappers from Brooklyn, and they were late. And now, I'm a little cocky, because I'm a hustler and treating them like they was nothing. My boy was like, "Yo, T, they here." I thought, "Yo, make them wait, make them wait." Then I basically said they ain't going on because I'm serious about people being on time, and they were late.
Oh, wow.
And the guy convinced me to let them go on. And after they rocked the show, when the show was over, I took out a wad of money out of my mink and gave him $1,500. And I tell people this story to this day that he took that 1,500, flipped it, and became a billionaire. So shout out to Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Miguel. What you had, brother? I'm
No, I
sorry.
was gonna say, TK, I remember you in New Jersey Drive, man. You play House Rules, and that was like a Nick Gomez film. I remember that movie. Throughout your career, have there been projects that you really wished you could have been a part of that you weren't, or have you really been a part of most of the projects you've tried to get that you're happy that you've gotten?
Well, here's the thing: like most comedians like yourselves and other people want to be on TV and want to do TV shows. Y'all want to do the sitcom. Y'all want to do a movie. I don't want to do none of that. Like, my way of thinking is different than most people. I believe in Hollywood. You really got to have great, great, great luck to make it there, right? And I believe in betting on myself. So what I do is I know I'm funny, and I know when I book myself what kind of money I'm getting. So when you go do an audition, you have to hope that somebody likes you. If you get a TV sitcom, you got to hope people like you so much that you stay on the air 2, 5, 6, 7 seasons to get residual money, right? I don't want to have nothing to do with that. Like, I'm good at what I've done. It's quiet, it's low key. And I like it that way, and because there's really not a lot of great opportunities to do TV and movies. So a lot of things was offered to me, right? When I did New Jersey Drive, even though I did House Rules, I only had one day to film that because I was booked somewhere else to do a show. when I did the Ball the Blocking with Lil Wayne and Baby at Cash Money Millionaires. They paid me a lot of money, but that's because they saw me on tour with Jay-Z, and they had also saw me on tour with um, and they also saw me in the movie New Jersey Drive. So all the way, even with walking into a party one day, a young man pulled me to do his party. I mean, to do his movie, paid me. We went to the film festival in Utah City, Salt Lake City, Utah. The film festival, got the name of it. But I was funny in this movie to the point that if I had an agent, I think I would have been bigger. But that guy turned out to be one of the biggest stars in the world who bought me in his film, and it's Vin Diesel.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
That's
Yeah, I
so
did the movie.
cool.
I did the movie Strays with Vin Diesel. That was his first flick, and Steven Spielberg came and saw him, and the rest is history.
Yeah, that's how he got the part in Saving Private Ryan, I heard, because Steven
Right.
Spielberg saw him in Strays.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, so this weekend we got TK Kirkland. He'll be at the Orlando Improv May 20 and 21. I was talking to the GM there, and she was telling me you were going to be there this weekend. I also help, put comics and stuff on shows, and she told me that you do a one-man show.
One-man show.
So speak on that. Speak on that for the people out there who don't understand what like a one-man show is, because you see a host, you see a feature, and then you see the headliner. So speak on the one-man show.
Well, it's like the situation when you go to a restaurant, they say, well, you like an appetizer? And most people get an appetizer, right? And by the time you get the meal, you're full. So you take the rest of the food home with you, and it usually goes to waste. Well, I believe
that's a good analogy.
So I believe let's cut the chase and get right to the meal.
Okay.
And
how much time you do when you do your one man? Well, how much time you usually doing?
I can easily do 2 hours, 2:30, easy. But the difference to me and any comedian in the country, and I'll go from the top all the way down, you laugh from beginning to end at my show.
Nice.
Slam dunk.
Yeah, there's a lot of comics out there that say, "Hey, I can do 2 hours." It's like, no, you can talk on stage for 2 hours, but was it 2 hours of just bam, bam, killer stuff, man?
I have it from beginning to end. And then, a lot of people, and I'm glad we talk about these things. See, a lot of people want you to do Netflix or anything, but see, I have my own production company too. And I put out my own specials because, see, what I always try to teach you young comics is empowerment. Be in control of your own destiny. Film your own stuff. Get your stuff on Amazon. Get your stuff on Tubi. Know your own numbers. Know what date you want to put your stuff out. How you want your cover to look. Get your own production company. I have all that. So I got a special coming out real soon called T to the MFK. Done great numbers with Who Raised You, which was released a couple years ago, then the pandemic. But my goal is to drop a special every 2 years. That's the goal. So this one is done. We're going to drop it as soon as I come up with the music for the soundtrack. And then, believe it or not, next year I'll start working on the next one. So the goal is to build up a huge catalog towards the end of my career, so that people one day can, when they do their due diligence, they can compare me to the Eddie Murphys, the Dave Chappelles, the Kevin Harts. And when they mention their name, they'll say one day, yeah, I heard about those dudes, but what about that comedian TK Kirkland? So that's my thing. So I let my work speak for itself. And one of the rules I believe in, I let demonstration is better than conversation. So I do the work, my shows sell out. And that's why they call me an underground superstar, because I sell out without really, I'm not an internet comedian. You didn't see me on any type, so
I'm sorry, TK, we lost you just there for a second.
We lost you, but check this out real quick. Hey, TK, you want to stick around for one more segment? We got to go to commercial real quick.
Oh yeah, I'm here to rock with y'all.
Okay, cool. Well, let's do this, Mike. Let's go to commercial. We can bring TK back and we can finish talking about all the upcoming specials he got coming up. This is Real Labs, Real Radio 104.1. We're gonna take a break because somebody got to pay for this show. We'll be right back. Real Labs, Real Radio 104.1. We are back, Real Lives, Real Radio 104.1. And remember, we're your nightcap of comedy. Guys, if you missed any of these shows, please go to iHeartRadio and search Real Laughs, and you can download our podcast. If you want to see these beautiful ass faces, go to YouTube and you can watch the videos as well. If you want to find and follow us, please go to Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter and search Real Laughs. Join the virtual studio with Miguel Colon Jr., Mike Hurley, and the OG legend, Mr. TK Kirkland, in here just dropping knowledge on us. TK, how did you come up with Who Raised You?
You know, I date a lot. Well, I used to. And I date some beautiful women. Mm-hmm. But some of the girls I was going out with, I felt their parents sent them into the world unprepared. Like, I don't believe women should be out here just because you're pretty and don't have your mind right. You don't have morals. You don't have common sense. So I remember this young lady one day. I said, "Oh my God, I need to meet your parents because I need to know who raised you." And bam, it went from, and I just kept going on with it. So that's how Who Raised You start, you know. But see, you guys just caught on. See, but way back in the day, I always had callback lines. So on BET, it used to be a major commercial. But I used to say, "Put your head out the window." Then I had another thing called "Don't Play Me, Play Lotto. You got better chances." Matter of fact, I might have to bring that back. And then I had another one that was used called "Get Your Ass in the Car." So these things, a lot of people are catching on to me, which is still cool. But man, the first 25, 27 years was fire.
But how does that feel to you that you've been in the game so long, you've been funny for so long, but now people, it's like you feel like people are just catching on. Like, how does that feel?
But I knew this though. See, I knew that I was so far ahead of my time that it was going to take young people like yourself. See, what changed my life is shows like this, podcasts, Vlad TV, The Breakfast Club, the TK. See, there was no podcast like what we have now in the 90s. All we had was David Letterman or Arsenio Hall, and it was politics to get on the shows. It was really made for, unless you was a rapper, you wasn't really getting on the shows. Unless you had an agent, you really wasn't getting on the shows. So I knew back then that the people who were going to change my life was pretty much children, not knowing that there was going to be social media. Like, because social media started taking off in 98, 20-something years ago. And the reason why I know that, because I had a case back in 98 and I wasn't supposed to leave the state. And social media wasn't around, and the probation officer for somehow started going on social media and saw these flyers up in New Jersey, and I wasn't supposed to leave the state. So I had to go through all this thing to explain to her that that wasn't really happening. They were fake, they were fake flyers, etc. But that's how, see, you guys grew up with the internet. I've been around before it started. So you guys, things of this nature has changed my life. And I'm just so glad that I'm here and people are really finding out about me. And then once they see the show, it's a wrap.
Nice.
Yeah. TK, you've been in the game so long. What do you see for the future of comedy that you would like younger comics to pay attention to? Because a lot of times I think we focus on young comics knowing what the future is going to be, but I find older successful comics, they can see the moves coming up. They've seen the trends. You know, it might be a little different than it was before, but they can see the trends leading to the future. Are there things that you would like to give advice to younger comics like us, what we need to pay attention more for in the future?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I just did a show in Maryland this weekend. We sold out there, which was great, and we sold out with no radio because DL Hughley was at the Baltimore Comedy Factory, and I have a friendly competition going on when I perform. I'm just a competitor. I come up that way, and the owner was explaining to me, like, no, don't worry about it. You're going to sell out. And when we sold out, so it was this MC who was host, very clean comedian, but he walked off the stage when he introduced me. So once we was in the dressing room, I make people leave the dressing room if I'm in there, and I'll explain to you why. But the first thing I taught him was that when you are a master of ceremonies, when you're a master of ceremony, he didn't even know what that meant. And I said, yo, you're the host. The host is an MC. You're a master of ceremonies when you stay on the stage to get the crowd hyped, and you don't leave the stage as you
Yep.
introduce the comedian until you shake his hand.
Yes,
You have to
sir.
shake that comedian's hand before he walk off the stage. The other thing is when I tell comedians, if there's a big headliner in your dressing room, you cannot go in the dressing room with that comic. One is a disrespect because you have to earn the right to be in the dressing room
Right, you got to be
with that
invited.
comedian. But a lot of comedians today don't have morals. A lot of comedians today want to take it, but they're not funny. I find a lot of comedians to be ambitious, but nobody wants to put in the talent. Nobody wants to write. Nobody wants to go through experiences.
TK, who raised them?
Yeah, to make them funny. So I give those advices as much as I can. And another thing, the reason why I also do a one-man show, I was trying to give comics an opportunity, but I want people to, when you do my show, believe it or not, you have to do a clean act. And most comics that come on my show and say at the last minute, I can't do clean. Well, I got tired of telling people what to say, what not to say before me, because I want you guys to understand, if you ever open up for someone, study their stand-up.
Yeah.
So that when you go on stage, you don't talk about the same things they talk about. The bad thing that we have in the African American world is that most Black comics pretty much have the same subject matter. Side women, want to be a player, a lot of sex, but nobody really talks about in-depth knowledge and still make it funny to really leave people leaving the room motivated and inspired. So that's why I took all that out the way, because my show is shock humor. So if comics are going on, talk about the same topics I talk about, using profanity, guess what? By the time I come on, I look redundant, I look repetitive. Or if it's the same topics, guess what? If somebody's sitting in the audience, they'll say, "Oh, he said the same
He
thing."
said the same thing. Yeah.
Burning
Exactly.
material. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of comics don't even know how they got their style. See, my style has been bitten on so much that it's been tampered for over 37 years. So many people have gotten my style, and I like when the Mike Epps's and the DL Hughley's, people who I started in the game, tell the world that everybody has took a little something from TK Kirkland.
Nice, nice. If you're listening, we got TK Kirkland on Real Laughs with us. He will be at the Orlando Improv May 20 and 21st. That is this Friday and Saturday. It's so cool you said it about the MC, the master ceremonies, because I tell comedians all the time, you start MCing, go listen to KRS-One, the MC. And he breaks, that whole song breaks down what it is like to be the master of ceremonies.
Yes.
I think a lot of people don't pay attention in the comedy world that I find, and I've said this, and I think maybe other people agree, the MC is the most technically important part of the show. They turn a crowd into an audience, you know?
Yes. And everybody is important. The DJ, the MC. Now, when I used to do rap concerts, because most people, and this is where I separate myself from everybody else. See, a lot of people can't do gangster rap concerts. I did them all. From NWA to Jay-Z to the Cash Money Millionaires to Ludacris to Luke to Timberland to Missy Elliott. Now here goes, it's gonna really rock your world. To Madonna. Then I've done things with Frankie Beverly and Maze.
Man, that's my
Patti
group.
LaBelle, the Whispers. Like I did it all, so I could switch my style of comedy up on so many levels. Like I could perform and still rock the crowd and not use one profanity word whatsoever. But
So
most people haven't got a chance to see that.
So coming on Real Laughs is just the icing on the cake of a wonderful career for you, right? Just being here with us tonight. That's
see the great thing about, if you understand this business, I appreciate every one of you guys, because now I know who you are, right? And I worked hard to get here, and somebody's listening. It could even be one of you guys that are listening, because I have your undivided attention. That's the most important thing.
I was just going to say, you and I were chatting for just a minute or two as soon as I came on before we were recording. And then I was like, he's laid back. He's a nice comedian, everything else. But then when Ken started listing all the things you did, I'm like, man, he is got to be the coolest headliner I've met with absolutely seemingly 0% ego. because you came into this just talking to me like a normal person. I know people with a quarter of your resume who would
Yes.
just be snobbish off the start. And you just,
And
thank
here's
you
the
so much
problem
for
with
coming
most
on.
people, right? They take it too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
See, at the end of the day, if your kids don't talk to you, if you ain't chilling, you have no success, right? Like, if your kids on drugs and you're not a leader in your home, like, I don't think you're successful. So I don't take this thing really serious. I always say that I'm a businessman and comedy is my side hustle. I sit and talk to you. I'll tell people at the end of my show, I'll take pictures of everybody in this building because believe it or not, I'm your #1 fan and I want to be in your phone. So one day when I leave this earth, I want you to say, yeah, I met that brother, T to the MFK. So that's important. That's important to me.
Hey, yo. Hey, TK Kirkland will be at the Orlando Improv this weekend, May 20th and 21st. Go to improvorlando.com to get your tickets. TK James John just jumped in. He's a comedian as well. He was one of the guys that helped start this show. James,
Yes.
well, meet TK.
What's up, Jay?
Bro, a true honor and a privilege, man, to have you on this show, man. Thank you for being here today.
Oh no, thank you guys, thank you. But before we go, I want you to ask me some questions too. I want everybody to have an opportunity. So, what's on your mind?
Mine's just well, here's my question for you, man. You've been in the game for so long, and comedy's changed. Like the way that people get on nowadays is different. You can
Yes.
do it through social media. You don't have to go through the clubs and work your way up. So I wanted to know, what is your take on comedians that come up through social media and not the traditional way?
I think it's awesome because the world has changed, right?
Yeah.
When I was growing up, you had Western Union. Now you got Cash App.
True. True. True.
Now before you used to get in your car and go drive to go get your food. Now you got Uber Eats.
Yeah.
You understand? Like, you have to adapt to the way the world changes. Give me an example. They took out cursive writing in schools.
Yeah.
Now, people think that's bad, right? But in actuality, it isn't. I'm explaining to you why. Is because kids are not writing anymore. Kids use computers.
Absolutely.
You don't have to when you do a 30-page paper, you're not writing anymore.
Man, you just typing away.
And then you have a signature thing on the computer that you can touch to give your signature.
Yeah.
So when you hear people say cursive writing, we're thinking like dinosaurs. We have not elevated our brain to think differently. So I'm a visionary. I if I don't get it the first time, I figure it out. So this is something that I put together over the years. So when I say that, I'm like, wow, you're absolutely right. They don't need to do cursive writing anymore. Just like you could sit here right now and order some food and somebody leave it at the door for you and you ain't got to go waste your gas. Right?
TK, I think it's funny that you bring up cursive writing because so many people complain about it, but every person, you get mad when we're about to read something, you're like, damn, he wrote it in cursive. I can't read none of this.
I don't think you get mad. I think that you just don't understand, or they just write like a doctor.
Yeah.
But and then some people can't spell, right? But now you got correct spelling. You could actually talk on your phone and it spell it for you.
Speech to text.
It's just
not.
So what you're saying, young man, James, is like anything else, like we could see each other on the phone.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, we had a rotary phone.
Bro, I grew up in that.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, TK. We gonna keep you for one more. We got one more segment. You down?
Yes.
You dropping gems, man. I can't let you go, bro. Hey, man,
sir.
we're gonna take another commercial break. We're gonna come back, man. TK kicking it with us the whole show. So stay tuned. Real Labs, Real Radio 104.1.
You got it.
We're back, Real Labs, Real Radio 104.1. We're your nightcap of comedy. Remember, guys, if you want to find us, go to Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Search Real Labs. If you want to see these beautiful ads' faces, go to YouTube and watch the videos we upload. And if you want to download us in podcast format, go to iHeartRadio and search Real Labs. I'm joined in the virtual studio with Miguel Colon Jr., Mike Hurley. James John has stepped into the building, but we got the OG TK Kirkland in the building with us. TK, I want to talk about something. I just got through watching Fat Tuesdays. And how important was the Comedy Act Theater for you?
The Comedy Act Theater was awesome. And I think Guy Torrey did a great job. But Guy Torrey did that through his eyes. See, to really do that story, you got to go how it all got started. See, there would have never been no Fat Tuesdays if it wasn't for the street hustlers in Los Angeles, California. And that's where I come in. See, in the 80s, it was just Robin Harris and the Comedy Act Theater. Then I started doing this club down in Long Beach called Miss Wiz. And this is when the Tommy Davidsons, the Jamie Foxxes, Keenan Ivory Wayans, all of them used to come down and see. And what we did, I had all the clubs. I had Club 88. I had another club called Zeno's. Used to be in the Sheraton Hotel. I had the Palace. And this is when everybody was just really getting ready to blow up. Will Smith, Mike Tyson, Tony Lester that played in Friday.
Yeah.
Every
Friday, yeah,
major
Zeus.
star used to come to the Palace on Sunday night in Los Angeles way before Fat Tuesdays. The show was so popular, like everybody who was major was in there. But when they announced the comedy show, the DJs used to get so mad because everybody left the floor
Wow. Wow.
to the stand-up. So if you ever see the special called Laugh-A-Palooza
Mhm.
with me and Jamie Foxx,
Yeah.
Jamie Foxx makes this announcement and says at the beginning of my intro, he introduced me, that TK Kirkland is the greatest comic that ever touched the mic because he could go up in a club
Mhm.
and shut it down. See, a lot of comics can't do that. I go in a club. I remember one time I was on a tour with Keisha Cole, and it was a big concert. Wendy Williams was the host. Now, most people host the show. I was the third act after two singing groups and was rocking it like I had a band.
There you go.
That's how the situation was. But I wish we had that on footage, like the way Kanye West believed in himself.
Mhm.
You know, I wish I had all that so that we could have these true testimonies of the journey of TK Kirkland. Just like listening to you guys talk, most people think I'm going to be a stand-up comedian. I was with Akon yesterday in Vegas. We're about to do something together.
Nice.
And he was explaining to me how when you talk to me, I'm going to come off like a regular comedian. Like you would think I would be goofy and talk all this kind of stuff. But see, I'm a gentleman who came up I went to college, got a master's degree. I came up with a PhD in street hustling, and I just took my brand of how I think and made something out of it on the stage. So that's why when people come see me, they in awe because it's a different stand-up. And yeah, you want to be number one in this game of stand-up comedians. But see, when I came up, was only a few of us. So now with so many comics, there's really enough comedians for everybody's taste. So now comedy used to be like a Ritz Carlton private Ruth Chris type thing. But now it's Golden Corral. It's so much. It's so many comedians now that it's like a buffet. So everybody's trying to get to the top, but you got to ask yourself, what do you want in this game? Like, what do you want? What's your goal? What are you trying to do? And are you realistic with what you're trying to do? So I teach people things so that you can work in your 60s. So when I tell comics about doing clean material, and I tell comics you got to write, what I'm sharing with you is, will you be working for 37 years?
It's funny you bring that up because yesterday we were having a conversation about a lot of guys we started with 20 years ago. They're still not, they're not doing this anymore. They got real jobs. They did. A lot of people that we came up with didn't last. They found something else to do because this is not for everybody.
Right. And then what is your ability to write? And let me explain to what I mean. There's still some comedians to this day saying the same exact joke they wrote 9 years ago. They laugh at the same exact spot of the material they did 9 years ago. And being a stand-up comedian is really, once you understand it, it's new information for every comic. All you guys, every day. All you got to do is look at the world and put a twist on it. I always tell people, you know when you're a great stand-up when you could look at a doorknob and make it funny. It's deep though, right? It's deep. But I want you to look at a doorknob one day and see if you can tell a joke about a doorknob. My point is, can you make anything funny?
Now, you've been giving us, first of all, I think of anyone we've had on the show, you've been the most gracious about giving us some inside tips and just advice on how to get further with this. Did you have anyone when you were starting out that you looked up and kind of took that as the blueprint for your career, or anyone that pulled you aside and gave you some of the, not shortcuts, but insight on the do's and don'ts of this?
No, I really had to go get it on my own, because all the comics were scared of me. You know what I mean? I had like a slight bad reputation, when I was young. I did a lot of crazy things, so nobody was going to really help me. But I was a businessman, so I was helping people. So I started D.L. Hughley, taught him how to dress, taught him how to write a joke. If you look at him, we all got the same type of tattoos. His son is named after me, and we have a friendly competition. I started Godfrey. Godfrey opened up for me in Chicago, and I had Godfrey drive all the way to New York City, and I made Godfrey a millionaire by 1992. He was doing the 7-Up commercials back then. That's when they had the spokesperson. He was doing that. Then I snatched up Mike Epps, saw him down in Atlanta, and got him to come to New York, and I got him on Def Jam with the help of Tina Graham and Bob Sumner, because I was at that time. So I say, hey, this guy's gonna be the next thing. They listened to me, they got him on, and then my team of they deceased now, Tommy Chesterow, David Kleeman. We wind up getting people like Anthony Michael Hall, John Leguizamo, we managed Sandra Bullock. So imagine it now, 5% of Sandra Bullock.
Wow.
20 years. So see, a lot of people didn't know that. See, so those are things that I did. But when I had the comedians, everybody went their own way, because my goal was, since my stand-up was so raw back in those days, I put those comics on to pave the way, because I had big plans for them. And everybody still did well. But I know if everybody would have stayed with me, their whole careers would have been different. So I changed people's lives. Just like right now, you should see the look on your faces, like, oh my God, who are we talking to? Nostradamus or Messiah? But I just speak from my heart. But no one pulled me to the side. It was something that I truly had to learn. So if we was on the panel and you asked me, TK, what can I do to get on TV and film? I would tell you guys not to even try it. I would say build your careers, do stand up, also get a job that you can control your own destiny.
Wow, and that's one way to go out.
Yeah,
he's back.
All right, he back.
So you could control your own destiny and be in control of your own power. Because one of the worst things in the world, people think you need to get an agent to win. Give me an example. I book my own clubs and I do my own shows and I sell out. And I booked a stand-up comedian through one of my friends. Say, book this guy. But he told my guy, call my agent to book the show. So I'm going to tell you how he messed up. See, when someone puts money in your pocket, the average comic will say, speak to my agent, and not close the deal themselves. So basically what you just did, you gave your agent 20-30% of your money for a deal you brought to the table. They didn't bring the deal to the table. So people think they made it when they have an agent.
And that's what you were just talking about taking control, having your own production studio, you shopping your own stuff to like Amazon and those guys. Why have someone else shop it, take their 25 to 30 when you can why have another production company charge you $400,000 to film it when you can film it and charge your own company? Control every aspect.
And now if you don't have that type of ability, if you're not, some people are not outgoing, right? Some people don't know how to do that. So you might need that. But if you're a hustler, you got ambition, it doesn't happen overnight. That's the thing that most people have to understand. Most people don't become millionaires until they're 60. See, because you got to remember, I came up old school. We didn't have rap. Rap didn't start till 1979. So from me being a child to 18, I saw people really work, put 40 hours in a week, save their money, buy a house, buy the Cadillac, buy the beautiful home, and they was 50, 60 years old. Now you could get it faster, but you can lose it fast as well.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, so you gotta have
TK,
substance.
you've been in this for a minute, man. Craziest show you ever been a part of? Like you was like, I can't. This is crazy. Like, what's the craziest show you've been a
I'm gonna
part
tell you
of?
a great show. 1996. I
Okay.
did April Fool's Comedy Club with what's the club in Manhattan?
You ask
Caroline's.
Caroline's.
Yeah.
Stacked house, Puffy, Tupac, everybody was a sold out show. And I went on stage and I did 30 minutes. And when I said good night, as I was walking off the stage, I said, because that's the type of NIGGA I am. T to the, and as I walked, I put my fists in the air. 7,000 people screamed so loud and hard that the energy pushed me off the stage.
Wow.
So 10,
Great.
15 years later, I'm in Manhattan. I think I'm going to do Madison Square Garden again. I'm doing another event.
Congrats.
Talking to this young man, and the girl said to me, I remember that show in 1996, T to the MFK. And that's was just memorable to me. And then to fast forward, because of the podcast, a young man got shot. 2 crazy stories in my lifetime. Back in New Jersey, a young man had walked out of his house and went to the store and got shot and died. His family had read his diary, and apparently he must have saw me perform at the Peppermint Lounge. This is where Bill Bellamy got his start.
Bill Bellamy's room. Yeah.
And he said that he saw the greatest comedian ever, TK Kirkland. They told that to me. A couple of weeks ago on my podcast, and everybody who listens to my podcast, is the TK Kirkland podcast. Shout out to Charlamagne the God, executive producer. A young lady hit me on my Instagram and asked me, could I call because her boyfriend had got shot 2 years ago. He's blind, and apparently that get shot, he has cancer now. And I thought it was a lie. And he has 18 months to live. And I called him. And he's in Houston, Texas, and he explained to me how he felt like I was the greatest comedian ever, and no Oscar, no amount of money can replace that type of feeling that you can do that to somebody. And these are just real down-to-earth stories from OG who really just
OG, man. Well, TK, man, I hate to cut y'all, brother, but we gotta run, man.
No, y'all go do your thing. I'm glad I got the opportunity.
Bro, we thank you so much for being on tonight. TK Kirkland, May 20th, 21st, Orlando Improv. TK, where can they follow you at, bro?
There you go. That's what I was hoping you let me say that before you turn the lights off. So everybody who's listening, please follow me at TK_Kirkland, KIRKLAND, like the water at Costco's. All right. Also, make sure that you check me out on my podcast every Monday, the TK Kirkland podcast. You can on SoundCloud, YouTube, etc. We got 267 episodes, so there's a lot of catching up to do. And to all you guys, I wish you guys the best. To all the fans listening, to all the new fans, follow me, TK_Kirkland, and may your pain be champagne. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you,
Appreciate you, man.
And that's TK Kirkland. Hey, man, I'm Ken Miller. That's James John Miguel Colon Jr., Mike Hurley. We are Real Labs. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tune in tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we'll have a brand new show. Y'all know how I end it. Like Russell Simmons says, thank you for coming out. God bless you, and good night.
Good night, Bless.